next project up on the table is a chemistry lab, an old school style chemistry lab. So I already have it magnetized, and I should have shown that segment first, or the you know, the standing version. But anyway, so what I wanted to do is I want to create like a door, maybe a trapdoor, but a door that would lead to some storage underneath. This is the floor of this chemistry lab, so I wanted to create a door that you can kind of swing open, and they would use as, you know, additional storage or what have you. So one of the challenges, and you know, first and foremost, cutting this is straight as possible. See, I didn't do that good of a job there, but overall it came out pretty good, and it came out pretty solid. The next challenge for me is to cut this in half. This is too thick for it to kind of go up and down, just the way it is now. So I have to try to cut this in half. So I already kind of measured it half. This is an inch thick, so it's half an inch, and I cut it as deep as I can cut it going around. So I'll probably start slicing it that way, and then just taking them out chunk by chunk, and then this what will be left will be kind of the swinging door. Also going to create a chemistry type table, or a table to put into this lab, because obviously a chemistry lab would require a table. So what I did is I had this really long piece of balsa wood, you know, pretty thin, and then I cut out 3 pieces of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue 2 pieces together. I'm going to glue all 3 at the end, but start off with gluing 2 pieces together, and then what I'll do is I'll glue this almost like a reinforcement on both sides, and then I'm going to dig into where the legs are going to be. So it's going to be a collapsible table, so real similar to the table that I did with the back of the butcher shop diorama. So it's going to be real similar. Going to use a little bit of a different technique. Well, not necessarily a different technique, but that was locker room mirrors that I kind of scratched down to make it look like aluminum tables. In this case, it has to look wood through and through. So by just connecting these 2 pieces, this piece, and then kind of cutting through it, if I end up cutting up on this side, I'll have this, or I'm going to end up going through it, I'll have this last layer that I put on, and now it's even thicker. The legs should fit in nice and snug, and then when you take apart this dial, you can take apart the table as well. So these are the 2 little side projects real quick. Again, the walls have been cut out, so this is going to be 18 inches across, but once the walls fall into place, it's 16 inches inside of the space. It is gonna be 11 inches. It's 12 now, but it'll be 11 with this back wall, which is an inch thick. It cuts it to 11, and it'll be 12 inches tall all the way around and fully enclosed. And I'm also going to throw a ceiling type deal on it. I believe. I may change my mind, but this is where we at, and I wanted to just kind of go through this, because I know people may ask, if this comes off, people are going to ask how I went about it. So yeah, pretty much measured it up, you know, kind of measured it out first and foremost, put bullseye on top and kind of measured around him, and then figured that it'll be a good space, a little bit of a ladder where he can kind of crawl down or jump down or what have you. And even if he's fighting with somebody in that space, there's enough space for 2 action figures. So that's kind of how I measured it. And yeah, I'm going to kind of surround this with some wood to kind of make it look a little fancier, and then put one of those little knob joints that you pull the door out. So it's going to look dope. All right, y'all. Alright, so clearly I have progressed as I do at times, where I just go on Speedy Gonzalez mode. Sunday was a day off for me, and Sunday I actually worked on this most of the day. I would work on it for an hour or 2, and then put it down for another hour, go on the hammock, and just it was some nice weather in Boston, so it was kind of a relaxing day, and come back to it for an hour and a half or 2, and then kind of go hit the hammock, and you know, so it was kind of one of those lazy days. So I was able to do a lot with this, including finishing the hardwood floors, and finishing the like little trapdoor, and painting. This was just regular natural wood, and just painting this or staining it rather. So that was stained. The frame was stained as well. This was not stained. That's actually painted in a chocolate brown. One of the reasons being that I ended up using balsa wood, and it doesn't really stain very well because of the compressed wood. So, and I knew that going in, and I was okay with that. And so yeah, so the effect that I'm trying to get is kind of that overhead lighting, natural lighting look. And what this is turning out to be, it's a lab. It's going to be a chemical lab, but it's going to be an old school chemical lab that is being used secretly by whoever, and they have updated equipment and so forth. I mean, I'm still gonna kind of give it the dirty look or what have you, but yeah, that's kind of the idea. Or maybe not. Maybe it just kind of has the older feel depending on what kind of equipment is going to be put in. So wanted to show what the effect looked like, and then I'll kind of show. So I'm using this sheet of paper, which is kind of a transparent, not transparent, but kind of that foggy type sheet. It's like 39 cents or 29 cents, something like that at the art store. And yeah, so what I used, just regular foam board and cut out the squares, and then lined it up with the same paper that I use for the walls. So I'm still working on it, so I have to tighten it up a little bit. For example, here I ran out of or miscut a couple of them, so I had to kind of correct that. But most of them fell into place pretty well. And in terms of this, and again with the shot and the way the light's coming in, it's not something where it has to be super specifically detailed perfect, because you're not going to see a lot of those details because of the brightness of the light that's coming in from the top. And if you were to take another shot where the light isn't as prominent and you have more light on the inside, which you could do, then I'm assuming it would still be okay. But I'll tighten it up a little bit. So that's just one piece, and I'm not going to magnetize it because it's just something that you kind of just lay on top of the dial. So and again, just used that paper that I bought before, which I have a sheet right over. I do not have a sheet. I think I left it on the other side, but anyway, it's just these sheets that they sell for scrapbooking, and I'll close up on it. It has kind of a finish to it, a nice yeah, so I think you can catch it. So yeah, so it kind of has just that nice gives it a little bit of personality. And again, it's not something that you couldn't get something like that with just using regular copy paper. So this is like a thicker stock paper, and paper, you can get paper with all kinds of different designs and kind of embossed right into the paper. So these are about, I think, the same deal. They're like 29 or 39 cents each. So I think I got about 4 or 5 of the kind of beige and 4 or 5 of the other color. One of the difficulties was the color scheme, and I always pride myself on choosing a good color scheme by the time everything's said and done. So I definitely am happy with the kind of that granite gray. It's not even granite because granite's a lighter gray, but it's almost like that stone gray, almost bluish hue compared to the a beige. And this is actually a different color than the color I use for the crack house dial. This is a little bit darker. So they have maybe 5 or 6 different shades of this, and a couple shades of that. But anyway, so I just kind of put the sheets together and did different color combos, and when these two kind of came together, I really liked how they looked. And I also knew I was going to be using kind of this darker brown, and so that definitely helped out. So the sheets are cut right up into the middle, and then this kind of covers the what would have been that line, so it kind of makes it a little seamless, as opposed to here where you can kind of see the seam. And the sheets are pretty much, this is how long the sheets come. So for this style paper, so I had to kind of adjust, but I'll do something to kind of hook that up. What I'm also thinking about doing is on that piece, adding some pipes to the top of the ceiling. I think that'll definitely be a nice touch, so I think I'm gonna add that. Couple, some more signage and what have you. The trapdoor, real quick. The trapdoor. What I ended up doing is cutting a piece of the foam here. So I sliced it there, and I sliced it in the bottom, and kind of going all the way around, and then framing it with that wood. And I thought that definitely gave it a nice, a more detailed look, and something that can definitely show up in pictures. And then I still have to work on kind of getting that opening, closing little latch that goes there. But yeah, I thought that was definitely a nice little touch. So added that. I'm happy with the way the floor came out. It's pretty much finished. The walls are pretty much done. I like how the stain, really inconsistent. I did a horrible job at it, but I think it lent to what I'm trying to do, so it kind of turned out okay at the end. Alright, so there's where we're at. Next segment will be the finished dial piece. Alright, so a quick couple minute update on where I am now. Today actually I was able to add a couple things. First and foremost, I added the light switches, or those 3 light switches, and I also added some outlets on that side and a single one on that side. I finished putting what I wanted to put up on the walls. I'm gonna leave it at that. Again, this is a kind of a chemistry lab, but set in an older location that eventually was abandoned, and then they came back and reopened it in secrecy, and kept a lot of the older, the old look, the framework and whatever, and then they just added a couple of updated equipment and so forth. So I was able to add this window. As I've noticed, a lot of chemistry labs back in the day had the windows that were higher up. Added the matching door, which is cool. Closes, opens. Added that doorknob, as the doors do not come with the doorknob. I kind of finished the, for the most part, I finished the kind of the skylight, and so that you can kind of see the effect that it's gonna have. Where it's kind of cool because it actually doesn't give it that direct light, and doesn't give it that shininess that the direct light will give to the figures at times. So it's kind of cool to kind of buffer it, I guess, with those sheets of paper that are glued on here. I just have to kind of cut the excess. So last steps is I need to make this a functioning trap door, so I need to put some hinges on it, and then I need to airbrush the dial and dirty it up a little bit and give it that feel. And that's pretty much it. Just wanted to give a quick update before I show the very last, the finished product. So tomorrow I'll be able to airbrush this. I'm working on another commission that's more for a review, to review action figures, and so I'll be able to airbrush both of them tomorrow, which is great. I like when I'm able to airbrush a couple of projects and not just bring out the airbrush and do one project. It's a pain in the ass to clean that thing when you're done using it. Alright, Peace. All right, so the paint details are completely done on this one, and I'm pretty much done with this diorama. I originally was trying to figure out something that I can do that can kind of cover this scene, but there's not really much I can do, and it's not something that's going to affect the shots too much. Came in and airbrushed it, and also gave it a little bit of a dry brush in some spots. You can see it there, over some of the signs, and I just wanted to bring out the texture a little more that it wasn't brought out as much with just the airbrushing. So I definitely did a little bit of dry brushing, and yeah, the last two steps, man. This is it. This is gonna be the last segment for this video, and I'm just gonna put this out because the last one really is figuring out if I can put these on hinges. It should be pretty easy, but anytime you're dealing with foam, and then you're dealing with hinging foam and adding wood and hoping it sticks, I always get a little worried. Again, my biggest concern is for somebody to receive this and then after opening it up 2 or 3 times it pops off. And so I would rather do it in a way where if I don't, I can always have it just pop out and not have the hinges, and then put some support so that this will rest, because if you squeeze it down, it'll go down. So I'm gonna attempt that, and then the other thing I'm gonna do is up top on the ceiling, I'm gonna put some tubing, some piping. No big deal. One of the difficulties of doing this type of diorama that also has kind of the top is that it's really hard to get it to line up perfectly. So you're gonna have a little bit of a gap, as you can see there, but then when you angle off a shot, it'll disappear. So at first glance, it looks like, oh man, that's kind of not cool, because you can see all the kind of the light in the background from it not being completely flat down. This foam board is rarely ever super flat. There's always some sort of bend to it somewhere. So you can see it there, but yet when you kind of do that, you don't see it. So happy with how that came out, man. And all that was again just some of this paper glued on, so you're able to shine the light through. Definitely like the window and door. It's a set of windows and doors that I haven't used yet, and it was definitely perfect for this. And again, this is kind of a chemistry lab that was at a university type deal, and then university clothes, an older style setup in terms of, obviously, chemistry labs of today, it's more tile than it would be wood molding and wood floors, but back in the day it was a little fancier, and they would have a lot of the molding. And so this was abandoned and then picked up by whoever, and it's now kind of a secret chemistry lab. And it got a little destroyed, but not condemned, not destroyed, but just dirty. And so this was the kind of the thought process behind this. Real quick, I'll break it down for you guys so you can kind of. I always like to show you guys kind of that final. Yeah, magnetized as it usually make them. In this case, it's going to be 5 pieces because of the ceiling, and once it's all stacked up, we can put the homie bullseye. You're looking at about 6 inches in terms of height. The length is 18 inches across, and then once you put in the walls, it shrinks the space to 16 inches. 11 inches or 12 inches deep, I believe, and 12 inches tall. So this is it, man. I hope y'all liked it, and I think it was Matt. Matt was asking me about magnets, and I know I've kind of gone through it, but just wanted to kind of give a close-up. When doing the magnets, make sure that you place the magnet, and what I usually do is I squeeze it into the foam board, it indents, and then I cut it out as perfectly as possible. So then when the magnet goes in, it's nice and snug, and what I usually do is put glue, the hot glue gun, not only in the middle, but on the sides of the walls, and then I squeeze in. If there's any excess, I take out the excess, and usually it holds pretty well. Alright, so this one's done, and it's on to the next one. Peace.